Welcome to this discussion on pre versus post-workout nutrition and supplementation. Many lifters wonder whether what you take before or after training has a bigger impact on your results. Today we'll explore that question from an evidence-based perspective. We'll define what we mean by results, covering strength gains, muscle growth, and training performance, and examine the science behind common ingredients used before and after workouts. We'll look at stimulants like caffeine and beta-Alanine, pump boosters like Citrulline, recovery aids like protein, and factors such as training volume, sleep, and lifestyle. By the end, you'll understand how to prioritize your efforts and supplements based on your goals, and you'll have practical takeaways to optimize your training. Lately, there's a lot of chatter around whether pre or post-workout matters more for your gains. It's a popular question among lifters, and one that's often clouded by bro science and marketing hype. When we talk about results, we're referring to three main outcomes: increases in maximal strength, muscle hypertrophy, the actual growth of muscle size, and performance, which includes your ability to maintain high training volume and movement velocity. To answer this question, we need an evidence-based perspective. Over the next few slides, we'll review research on what happens when you ingest certain ingredients before training versus after, how they affect these three outcomes, and where timing fits into the bigger picture of progressive overload and recovery. Before comparing pre- and post-workout strategies, it's important to define what we mean by results. When we talk about strength, we're referring to your ability to increase maximal force production. Think of a new 1 repetition max in the squat or bench press. Hypertrophy means growth in muscle cross-sectional area, essentially adding size to individual muscle fibers. Performance encompasses your capacity to sustain high training volume and movement velocity. It's how many quality sets and reps you can perform before fatiguing. Each of these metrics contributes to your overall progress, and different nutritional interventions may impact them in different ways. Keep these definitions in mind as we evaluate the evidence. Let's start with stimulants. Caffeine is the most widely used pre-workout ingredient. It increases alertness and reduces perceived exertion by blocking adenosine receptors, making hard sets feel more manageable. A meta-analysis shows caffeine improves mean velocity with a standardized mean difference of about 0.42 and modestly boosts power output. Interestingly, the benefits are greater in people with low habitual caffeine consumption and in males, suggesting that tolerance and hormonal differences matter. Typical effective doses are around 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, taken 30 to 60 minutes before training. As we'll discuss later, tolerance can diminish these effects, so cycling your intake may be wise. Another class of pre-workout ingredients includes beta-Alanine and nitric oxide boosters like Citrulline. Beta-Alanine works by raising carnosine levels in muscle, which buffers acidity during high repetition sets. Research suggests taking 4 to 6.5 grams daily, split into smaller servings of about 0.8 grams, enhances endurance and power. A single high dose is less effective because only consistent intake saturates carnosine stores. Nitric oxide boosters such as citrulline malate aim to increase blood flow by relaxing blood vessels, thereby improving nutrient delivery. 8 grams of citrulline malate may extend endurance, but the evidence for strength gains is mixed. These ingredients can enhance session quality, but they're not magic. Long-term progress still depends on training volume and overload. Creatine is another common pre-workout additive, but it doesn't matter whether you take it before or after training. Creatine saturates your phosphocreatine stores, enhancing ATP resynthesis during high-intensity efforts. The key is consistent daily intake, 3 to 5 grams rather than precise timing. Multi-ingredient pre-workout supplements combine several agents. One 4-week randomized controlled trial found that such formulas improved aerobic performance by about 8%, but they didn't enhance anaerobic power, jumping ability, or body composition. The lesson here is to choose evidence-based ingredients and be wary of proprietary blends that hide dosages. Quality formulas can support your workouts, but they cannot replace solid training and nutrition. To summarize the pre-workout section, stimulants and ergogenic aids can boost your training session by enhancing energy, focus, and blood flow. This in turn can help you sustain greater training volume and work capacity, which indirectly aids hypertrophy and strength. However, these ingredients are not magic bullets. Long-term gains depend on progressive overload, lifting more over time, and adequate volume and recovery. Individual responses to pre-workouts vary widely, so it's important to monitor tolerance and adjust accordingly. Choose products with evidence-backed ingredients and transparent labels. And remember that supplements support your effort. They don't make progress for you. After training, the focus shifts to recovery. consuming 20 to 40 grams of protein containing 10 to 12 grams of essential amino acids and 1 to 3 grams of leucine maximizes muscle protein synthesis. Whey protein, which digests rapidly, triggers a quicker and higher spike in muscle protein synthesis than slower digesting casein. Casein, however, provides a sustained release of amino acids and can be beneficial overnight. To replenish glycogen stores, pair your protein with carbohydrates around 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight within the post-exercise meal. This combination accelerates glycogen restoration and supports recovery. Post-workout nutrition is about priming your body to repair and grow. You might have heard about the anabolic window, the idea that you must consume protein immediately after training to maximize gains. A meta-analysis found no significant difference between pre- and post-exercise protein intake for strength or hypertrophy, as long as total daily protein is adequate. The body continues to absorb and utilize amino acids from meals eaten a few hours before training, so the so-called anabolic window may be broader than once thought. Immediate post-exercise protein is most beneficial when you've been fasted for more than 3 or 4 hours before training. Otherwise, focus on meeting your daily protein needs over multiple evenly spaced meals. In summary, post-workout nutrition supports muscle repair and replenishes glycogen. Protein timing is less important than total daily intake and proper distribution of leucine-rich meals throughout the day. Choose high-quality protein sources such as whey, casein, lean meats, or plant-based options that provide a complete amino acid profile. Adjust your protein intake based on body weight and goals. Roughly 0.4 grams per kilogram per meal, across 4 to 6 meals, or about 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram per day. When you prioritize total protein and pair it with adequate carbohydrates and sleep, your recovery is optimized and the precise timing becomes less critical. Beyond timing, the biggest determinants of strength and hypertrophy are training volume and frequency. Increasing weekly set volume generally boosts muscle growth and strength, but there are diminishing returns. The benefit of each additional set decreases, and at some point you risk overtraining. Frequency, or how often you train a muscle group per week, has little effect on hypertrophy and a modest effect on strength. Whether you train a muscle twice or 5 times a week, total volume matters more. Ensure that your weekly sets are spread out in a way that allows for adequate recovery and consistent high-quality reps. Protein and overall nutrition play a major role in results. Aim for 1.6 to 1.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day to maximize strength and hypertrophy. During periods of caloric restriction, such as a fat loss phase, increase protein intake to 2 to 3 grams per kilogram to preserve lean mass. Each meal should include 1 to 3 grams of leucine, ideally through complete proteins, to trigger muscle protein synthesis. Distribute your protein evenly across meals rather than loading it all post-workout. Pairing protein with carbohydrates helps restore glycogen and fuel recovery. Sleep is a powerful yet often overlooked factor in driving results. Deep sleep stage N3 stimulates the release of growth hormone, testosterone, and IGF-1, all of which are essential for muscle repair and tissue building. Cutting sleep short can reduce testosterone by about 25% and elevate cortisol, a catabolic hormone that breaks down tissue. Sleep restriction also hampers glycogen restoration and increases inflammatory markers like IL-6 and CRP. Conversely, adequate sleep reduces inflammation, replenishes energy stores, and enhances cognitive performance, helping you train with intensity and focus. Make sleep a priority alongside training and nutrition. The final driving forces behind results are consistency and lifestyle. Progressive overload and consistent training are the primary drivers of strength and hypertrophy. You need to show up regularly and challenge your body. Beyond that, manage stress, stay hydrated, and maintain an overall nutritious diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole foods. Poor lifestyle habits can undermine your progress no matter how good your training program is. Supplements are supportive tools that can enhance performance or recovery, but they cannot replace disciplined training and solid nutrition. Focusing on lifestyle factors ensures your hard work pays off. So which is more important, pre-workout or post-workout? The verdict is that both have their place, but neither overrides the fundamentals. Pre-workout ingredients can enhance your acute performance, allowing you to train harder, but they cannot replace progressive overload or adequate volume. Post-workout nutrition supports recovery and adaptation, but it's the total protein intake and distribution across the day that matter most. Whether you take something before or after training should be determined by your individual schedule, tolerance, and preferences. Don't let the debate distract you from what really drives results: consistent training, proper nutrition, good sleep, and recovery. Context matters. Beginners should focus on building consistent training and sound nutrition habits. Supplements are optional and should not distract from learning proper technique and progressively overloading. Advanced lifters who already have solid routines may find pre-workouts useful to maximize training volume and maintain intensity during demanding sessions. When you're in a caloric deficit, post-workout protein becomes a higher priority to preserve lean mass, while still using pre-workouts judiciously to maintain performance. Strength athletes might emphasize pre-workout intake to sustain high intensity, but should still prioritize post-workout recovery to repair tissues and restore glycogen. Tailor your strategy to your goals and circumstances. To wrap up, remember these key takeaways. Pre-workout supplements can enhance acute performance by improving energy, focus, and blood flow, but they cannot replace progressive overload. Post-workout nutrition supports recovery, but total daily protein and leucine distribution matter more than precise timing. Aim for about 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. Ensure good sleep and consistent training. Supplements should complement, not substitute, hard work and evidence-based nutrition. Stay focused on the fundamentals, choose products with transparent, research-backed ingredients, and enjoy the process of building strength and muscle.